Hello and welcome to one and all present here. My name is Lakshaya and I am an intern at LEXIS and Co. I am a third year law student at New Law College as well. And the topic for the day is domestic violence. We all know domestic violence is a very prevalent case in India and worldwide as well. In the purview of Indian law, domestic violence is defined under Protection of Women and from Domestic Violence Act of 2005. According to Section 3 of the Act, any act, omission, or commission or conduct of respondent shall constitute domestic violence in case it harms, endangers, harasses, or threatens the life of any individual and make them do any unlawful act or constitute to physical, sexual, verbal, emotional, or economical abuse and harms the individual physically or mentally will be termed as domestic violence. As we can infer from the definition already, that domestic violence is a lot more than just physical abuse, and the worst part of all is that it is still very prevalent in India. Through this article, we will know why domestic violence occurs and how to tackle domestic violence. Domestic violence is said to occur, according to many psychologists, because of the simple fact that some individuals need to feel the need to be dominant at all times. The individual who commits domestic violence can never take no for an answer, and that is one of the main reasons as to why domestic violence occurs. Most women are the ones who tend to be abused by domestic violence, and it is not only physical abuse, but there is sexual, emotional, verbal, and economical abuse as well. Thus, the domestic violence takes physical, sexual, verbal, emotional, and economical abuse within its ambit. All these are defined in detail as physical abuse. Physical abuse is the most obvious type of domestic violence against women, and it is a physical assault. The Domestic Violence Act defines domestic violence as any act that causes bodily harm or puts the victim's life, limb, health, or development in jeopardy. Physical abuse includes assault, unlawful force, and criminal intimidation. Sexual abuse is defined as sexual violence against women in any kind of sexual and reproductive coercion. In general, marital rape should be considered as a form of sexual abuse. Marital rape, on the other hand, is not prohibited unless the wife is under the age of 15. Sexual abuse is defined as any sexual abuse that abuses women, humiliates, degrades, or otherwise violates the dignity of a woman according to Domestic Violence Act. Verbal and emotional abuse is the fourth type of abuse. During domestic violence against women, verbal abuse comprises remarks, threats made by domestic relations. From a human rights standpoint, verbal abuse stands to emotional abuse, which is an extremely widespread type of domestic violence. Psychological abuse results from one's sense of self-worth being eroded by a combination of verbal and emotional assault. Economical abuse. The government took a bold move by including economic abuse in the list of abuses covered by Domestic Violence Act. Economic abuse is defined as denying or threatening to deny the victim and her children access to financial resources or assets. Well, harassment of women or her relatives as a result of unlawful dowry demands is also covered by Domestic Violence Act. The Domestic Abuse Act is designed to protect wives and females' lives and partners from domestic violence perpetrated by their husbands or male live-in partners, including his family. Domestic violence can be reported to the nearest police stations under the Domestic Violence Act. A protection officer or a service provider of the same kind will register the complaint and offer their assistance. The domestic violence can also be reported to the magistrate directly, and anyone who is reporting the crime has to set a hearing within 3 days, and if the problem is genuine, a protection order is passed. Other than that, the Domestic Violence Act under Section 498A of the Indian Penal Code, a complaint can be filed which recognizes matrimonial cruelty and will prescribe a criminal penalty. That is all for domestic violence. I hope you do realize what harm does it provide to the society and do not follow it. Thank you.